64 as recently as LAIST last weekend, a top 128 at Worlds in 2024, and a Dortmund top 16. No slouch.
No, not at all. Both of these hot competitors, I would say, when it comes to achievements and accolades. I can, just going through the list now, I will say Christian is playing a few more different options than Alexander's playing. Christian going with some rare candy in his list for some potential acceleration in comparison to the normal of evolution line of going to the stage 1 then the stage 2 naturally, and does play one copy of Dawn.
Okay, that's very, very interesting. Henry Brand talked about how Dawn could maybe have his best usage in some decks as a one-off card, and maybe this is kind of the way that sort of Christian sees the benefit here. And with the rare candy as well, could that come in an advantage in terms of just getting a Dragapult quickly in a Phantom Dive?
I really like the fact that he's identified Dawn as a really good supporter card, especially in this deck where you're managing multiple stage 2s. But having the rare candy as well, it unlocks the option to, even on your turn 2, if you have a Dreepy and another basic like a Duskull or another Dreepy, one Dawn can unlock so much potential, right? If you're able to find the rare candy, you can go for those smaller pieces, like say one of your other basics, then stage 1, then your stage 2.
Very important. Let's look at these prize cards here. Oh, there is that one of Dawn in the prize cards. That's a little bit unfortunate. I mean, nothing else too consequential for either player, though, I think. Plenty of things okay to work around, but here we go. I think Christian about to put out his prize cards again, but no, you've already done it. Let's kick off this top 4 game. Christian will be going first.
Yeah, kicking off our second top 4 game here. Christian going first does find that really important buddy Poffin to get up and running. A lot of players these days electing to go second, electing to have the first turn of supporter to find these really important item cards to get set up. But if you're fortunate enough to go first, or even being able to force to go first and finding those item cards, that's the position you want to be in.
Yeah, it really is the position you want to be in. Now, just as a quick starter for 2, yes, in this instance, let's go one last time for the strategy of this Dragapult deck. So you want to set up your board as wide as possible with many of this Dreepy that can then evolve into Dracloak. Dracloak has this ability, Recon Directive, a really strong ability, lets you look at the top 2 cards of your deck, put one to your hand and one on the bottom of the deck. You then finally find your way into Dragapult, which has this ferocious attack, Phantom Dive, 200 to the active, and then 60 or 6 damage counters that you can put on your opponent's bench in any way you like. You also, before you go there for that attack though, you build up resources in your hand by hiding behind this ferocious little 30 HP bird Budu with its itchy pollen attack. Does only 10 damage, but it prevents your opponent from playing items. So you hide behind that as long as you can, build up your board with this Dracloak Recon Directive until you finally go in and do a fearsome Phantom Dive combined with Curse Blast from this Dustmore line that can KO itself to put damage counters on your opponent's side of the field, and you just wipe out your opponent's board and win that way.
Yeah, interesting to see Christian going for that Budu, benching it with the buddy Poffin. As I mentioned previously, this is a real problem in the future potentially for Christian, because it's so susceptible to an easy Phantom Dive, and with that attachment just to Dreepy, maybe going for the Budu, knowing that nothing else is in his hand, maybe just having to go for that disruption up and just hoping for the best. I didn't see the rest of the hand, but the passing over to Alexander now, drew for turn, can't see much in that hand, couple of energy and the Dragapult, maybe forcing to Ultra Ball away an energy and a Dragapult. That's not going to feel good with the limited amount of recovery in the deck.
No, does Alexander even have any kind of supporter in his hand?
I'm unsure. I mean, you would have hoped that you would have played that first if it was something like an Arven, or even well, yeah, if it was an Arven, knowing that he isn't going to play any, but
yeah, I guess sort of a first player Ultra Ball kind of doesn't really telegraph a whole lot of strength. Let's be real.
No, not at all. I mean, you would even Ultra Ball before playing a supporter like Lilies and I would suppose anyway. But, having to Ultra Ball away 2 very important resources in this circumstance, being energy and the Dragapult EX, your main attacker, you'd think maybe, just going to go for the straight up draw supporter rather than wasting some of these resources.
I think the only supporter that I saw in hand for Alexander was the boss's orders. Oh, that's
not great at all.
dreadful start for Alexander. Yeah, I mean, not a hand you want to see in any game, but let alone with in top 4 of a regionals when your position in the finals is on the line.
Yeah, and that Badoo is now looking pretty good for Christian, of course, because without any sort of acceleration from Alexander or going for the Badoo itself, actually, this is not a great start.
Well,
I mean, leaving your board state with just the Dreepy and Badoo on your first turn with the possibility of playing a support and knowing that you're going second, this isn't a good start.
Yeah, I mean, I guess Alexander's forced to do this just because he needs to buy himself some time somehow, and pretty much the only way he's going to be able to slow Christian down is with an Itchy Pollen. Granted, that does mean that there will be no option to Rare Candy into Dragapult so Christian can get a turn 2 Phantom Dive. That would be very devastating here. In fact, that would outright win the game, but not an option here, especially if Alexander goes for this Itchy Pollen.
I'm keen to know if Alexander knows that Christian plays Rare Candy, because with this board state, without using the Badoo Itchy Pollen, Christian would actually put himself in a position to take game next turn.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I'm saying.
With Holutra and a Dragapult. So yeah, like you said, forced to use that Badoo. Bossing orders up the Dreepy without any energy attached. This is a bit of a desperation play from Alexander, you would think.
Yeah, Itchy Pollen coming in 10 damage and a draw for 7 from Christian. What is it? Oh, it's a Dragapult. Oh, but Christian's only supporter is an Iono. Oh, he really doesn't want to play that.
Do you want to play it at this point?
Well, I think you have to, right? You have nothing else to play otherwise.
I mean, you have the safety knowing that Alexander couldn't find any further basic Pokemon, so you know that you're ahead regardless.
Exactly.
So an Iono isn't that terrible, but I would like an Iono in connection with the Badoo here, just to stop Alexander from using any resources like a Buddy Poffin to find those basics, even on a second turn.
Yeah, and it looks like it did work out there. Yeah. Christian joined the energy. That was absolutely vital. So now you've been able to get a little bit further on your board. Granted, no Dracloak doesn't feel great, but a Jamming Tower just to get out of the hand and stop Alexander from playing his own, and then an Itchy Pollen for 10.
Yeah, Itchy Pollen restricted from using any sort of item cards. I don't even know if there's a supporter in that hand, you know. There is a Dracloak, fortunately, so Recon Directive is now live for Alexander, but I didn't see any draws. Oh, sorry, yeah, there's a Lily's Determination.
There we go.
That's exactly the support you would want at this stage. And yeah, playing that down straight away. Can't use that eligible thing. Well, no thanks to that Itchy Pollen from Christian. And yeah, able to find himself a safe 8 cards now.
Yeah, going to be very happy to see that. Was a potential debate about whether to bench that Latias EX before going in, just to get out of the hand and offer some retreat flexibility later, but also doesn't want to leave a weak 2 prizer on the board to Phantom Dive shenanigans options for Christian later. So I think kind of sensible to leave it in the hand to be shuffled back into the deck.
Yeah, Alexander needs to find some way to put further Pokemon on the field at this point. Does find Dreepy, does find Duskull as well, fortunately enough. I mean, we forgot to mention that Christian was unable to find any sort of Dracloak on his last turn. That's pretty unfortunate as well. That could have put himself in a winning position in his next turn. But here we go, Alexander finding the Dreepy, finding the Duskull without any sort of energy, and the Neo Upper Energy as well. This is a pretty good start, actually, for his next turn. You know, has the item lock up and going as well against Christian, slamming down his own Lily's Determination.
Okay, this is about as good a draw support as you could ask for here. So both players finding really what they needed to get back into this game. Now, with Itchy Pollen online, Christian is going to be behind in the Dragapult race. Won't be able to use Rare Candy to kind of skip straight to the stage 2. But with this Lily's Determination, with 2 Dreepy out, could hopefully find a couple of Dracloak would be nice. Maybe even a Dusclops. You could just not necessarily use it straight away, but just use it to that next turn you can evolve into the Dusknoir and do a big Curse Blast with 13 damage counters.
This is a real big problem for Christian, not being able to find that Dracloak last turn, and now that Alexander has that Dracloak, of course, well, it's got all of its energy required for a Phantom Dive and the Duskull on bench.
Brilliant.
Wow, what a draw. But just going back to it, Alexander doesn't need items next turn necessarily. He can evolve into the Dusclops, take a knockout on that Badoo perhaps, and then going for a Phantom Dive on one of the Pokemon on the field. So yeah, it's going to be key to see how Alexander paves way now for the remaining turns. But Christian, just using that second Recon Directive, finds the energy, but I don't think that's going to be as useful at the moment.
Well, I mean, you say that, but
Ultra Ball.
I mean, you say we're useful that right now, actually, but it's really pretty good because you have another Psychic Energy in the hand. That means that both of these Dracloak are ready to go with one more attachment of a basic Psychic Energy, which Christian has in hand.
He already had the Fire Energy hand, but when he had Recon Directive, he found Ultra Ball and another energy. He does have Psychic Energy in hand. Sorry, forgot to mention that.
Yeah. So with the Fire Energy, Genji find, that means that a Psychic Genji is like a guaranteed Phantom Dive on either Dracloak.
Of course.
Which is really strong. And ending on the Ichipollen as well for good measure. So still no items for Alexander. Would really like to find a Dragapult this turn, maybe. Normally, you kind of would want to wait a little bit longer. You don't necessarily, against most decks, you are very happy to sit behind Ichipollen. But in the mirror match specifically, I don't think you have time in the same way. I think you start to get aggressive.
Agreed. I think this is the turn he has to evolve that Dracloak. He knows how susceptible it is next turn, looking at Christian's board. Is going to be able to achieve pollen, so at least, like you said, that it isn't able to evolve into the Dustmite. Here we see the pop-off on the Bidoof. Does Alexander find the Dragapult from the prizes? No, he does not. Oh. So does he have any way to find that Dragapult this turn? Christian now forced to promote. Does promote that Duskull. I mean, I like the idea of promoting another Dracloak, but that is your engine, by the way. You know, it's not something that you want to give up easily, but at least Duskull gives you the chance to take multiple prizes next turn.
Yeah, well, also, hold on a second. If you promote the anyone the Dracloak, and if Alexander is able to find a Dragapult, which you're drawing 5 cards off an Ino now, which actually that was to find off the prize cards. That was really, really huge.
Yeah, at least in this circumstance, Alexander's only taken 1 prize, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, okay, here we see Ino, big 6 cards. Was he able to find the Dragapult?
Well, only 5, remember?
Oh, no, sorry, yeah, 5 off the Ino, sorry, and wasn't able to find it.
No.
It's over to Christian now. Can Christian punish this unfortunate turn from Alexander?
I mean, with double Dracloak, 2 is more than 1, so we'll have 1 more recon directive, even under item lock, to try and find this Dragapult and an energy, given that we do know that the energy that was in Christian's hand was sent to the bottom of the deck with Ino. There's the second recon directive. There's a Luminous Energy that'll do it. Oh, it's Luminous Energy versus Dragapult, though.
No, it's a Dracloak.
Oh, never mind. Never mind.
That's okay. We'll need to find a way to get this Duskull out the active as well. Curse Blast would get it out the active, but you need to find that all-important Dustlops if you want to use that, if you want to get it out.
A big flip the script for 3 cards. Does he find the Dragapult? Finds it? No, that's a whole Lucha. Never mind.
Yeah. Hard to find, it seems, for Christian. There are a few Pokemon in the hand, but I think that's a Dusknoir. Doesn't find the Dragapult.
No.
I would have never thought that both of these players were so easily... would so easily put these Bidoos down to start disrupting your opponents, but I think it's a tale of how effective are your item locks at this point.
Well, not only that as well, but both players in an awkward situation where their setups weren't great, so they both felt the need, even with that liability that Bidoof can be later on from residual Phantom Dive damage, they needed to buy themselves some turns and some time, and to be fair, it has kind of worked for both of them. Yep. They both have a Dragapult price each, so they're both missing one of their odds to find their main attacker, and I guess it's kind of borne out with how this has gone, but there's a Professor Tura's scenario. I like that.
Yeah, Professor Turo's scenario on the
oh my goodness.
Put it down.
That is what's the name of the attack on the Dreepy again? It does 10 damage. That's enough to KO
it's a petty grudge.
A petty grudge for 10 damage KOs the Bidoof, and Christian goes ahead on prizes again.
Yeah, taking the 1 prize from that Bidoof, and more importantly, not item locking this turn. So items now available to Alexander, but with that Duskull off the bench from the previous turn, items are not going to necessarily be your priority this turn because you want to be able to use those rare candies into the Duskull. Counter Catch is certainly an item you can use at this point. And with a Phantom Dive on this Pheasantipity, it does put it only 10 damage away from knockout, which, you can do in multiple different ways.
This is a classic Dragapult play. Counter Catcher onto the Pheasantipity. Would ideally let's combine it with an Ino. Not able to here, but this is what you do. You do 200 damage to the Pheasantipity. It has 210 HP, so you leave it on 10 left, and you spread your damage in such a way that you can do a devastating board wipe turn on the next turn.
Yeah. And doing the 60 damage, you might want to do it on the Duskull, because I think giving Christian the Duskull for next turn to be able to evolve into the Dusknoir or even the Dusclops, it does still give him an option to take multiple prizes next turn.
Yeah, it is a bit of a tricky one, though, because that would then mean you activate Flip the Script and you're not carrying the Pheasantipity, so it would stay on board to draw 3 more cards. So bit of a weighing up game for Alexander as to whether he thinks that he's more scared of Christian drawing 3 cards or more scared of Christian doing a Dusknoir play.
Well, I like the spread of damage as long as you're able to put down multiple Duskull this turn. I wouldn't mind the damage spread, but I don't know whether Alexander's being forced to take out the Duskull from Christian as a bit of a threat on board, knowing that you only have 1 Dreepy on the field.
Yeah, well, there's a Flip Script for 3 cards. Is that a Duskull find, I believe? Yes, it was. Okay, so Alexander can, if he feels like it's safe enough, start to try and set up some ghouls of his own. But wait, is there an outdoor Dragapult? Are we still missing one? Oh, there's an Ultra Ball,
yeah,
finally.
There was definitely Ultra Ball found off the Recon Directive.
So that's a huge find.
I mean, you're definitely forced to find one.
Yeah,
I mean, you have to evolve this turn, right?
I mean, I was talking as assuming a Phantom Dive would happen, but of course you need to find the Dragapult to do that. And oh, what a great discard as well, discarding 2 Jamming Tower, the 2 completely useless cards at this point, and able to finally get out the first Dragapult of this game.
Yeah, completely useless to Jamming Tower in this matchup. Not many items being used at all from both of these lists. Oh, well, even Dragapult just in general, really, isn't it? It's not item dependent at all. Evolving into this Dragapult, a Phantom Dive incoming for Alexander, but it's how he manages that damage spread. And this is what we were talking about earlier. Yeah. This is the crucial part of this matchup.
Yeah, the choice is here. You're going to do 200 to this Serendipity. Do you just take the KO on this Duskull, or do you spread the damage out in such a way where you just set up for a multiple prize turn later? That's a decision that Alexander has to make here. And also it's going to be...
Oh, it's damage spread, yeah.
Okay, so that's what it's going to go for. 200 onto this Serendipity, and actually just going for just the 6 on the GP. Honestly, I think I like this a lot more.
However, not knowing that Christian plays Rare Candy, if he's able to Rare Candy this GP specifically, it will put him out... it will put the GP... Well, sorry, the Dragapult out of a range of a Phantom Dive, which will nullify, I should say, Alexander's strategy of taking multiple prizes per turn. So I think I actually would have rather the damage spread 2-2-2 or maybe even a 3-3 across multiple Pokemon.
Yeah, it's definitely a risk there based on that fact. And that goes back to what I was saying at the beginning, right? Does Alexander know that there is a Rare Candy in this deck?
Yeah, he doesn't know, to be fair to him, right? I mean, you know, this isn't an ordinary list, I would say, for Dragapult. I spoke earlier about, you know, you're more or less going to find a concrete 60 with Dragapult, but Christian playing those 3 different differentials, really, in the Rare Candy and the Dawn. It does make this list a little bit, you know, there's a little bit of something extra when it comes to this archetype.
Yeah, looks like the decision there to actually evolve that damaged Dreepy, not into a Dragapult, but into a Dracloak. So that's going to be on 30 damage left, and here's a tough Recon Directive. I mean, Linear Determination would be nice, but not drawing the full 8, given that the price cards have been taken. So he's going to go for that Ultra Ball, and you're going to go ahead and discard that Buddy Puffin, not going to be much use to you anymore, and the Dust Noir as well, going to grab that Dusclops. That means that's one less thing you have to worry about using Rare Candy on. Well,
you need to get this Serendipity out of the active. I think this is the, you know, such a strong play from Alexander, because knowing that there's no bench, there's no room on the bench, sorry, for that Latias EX to be able to get that Serendipity out of the active, he's forcing Christian to use this Curse Blast to get something off the field in order to put it down to retreat. So if Christian wants to get an attack off, which I'd imagine he does at this point.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't feel great having to bench a Latias EX, but I mean, if that's the difference between attacking or not, that's the decision you got to take, right?
Exactly. I would really like to see from Christian now a possible gust up on this on the Duskull, actually, to take out the Duskull and the Dreepy, leaving him on board with just the Serendipity and the Dragapult. But, you know, you're going to have to hit into a Dragapult at some point, right? 320 HP is so high for Dragapult to deal with. You'd imagine, you know, you have to expect that you'll have to be forced to hit into one at some point.
Yeah, so here we go. The retreats into the Dracloak. We know that there's a Dragapult in hand. We know there's a Renji in hand. So a Phantom Dive is going to happen. I don't think there's any gusting, unfortunately. So it is going to have to be a hit into this active spot. And now a decision as to how you want to spread out this damage.
Yeah, certainly is. I mean, he's... well, knocking out the Dreepy takes out any sort of engine from Alexander from the Dracloak. So yeah, 2 damage counters on the Dreepy. You know, you have to think, if I'm putting 4 damage counters on the Duskull, a Curse Blast might be coming anyway, so it's a waste of damage spread. So maybe 1 or 4 on the Serendipity might be the way forward here. Take out the Dreepy, 4 on the Serendipity, prepare... Oh, no, just going all for the Duskull. Interesting.
Okay, I think I do kind of understand this here. You were talking just earlier about how giving access to any kind of Dusclops or Dust Noir can be devastating in terms of what it can enable. So there's... I think I completely understand that.
Yeah,
that's
Scoop. No, it's 4 damage counters for Alexander with the pop-off from the Curse Blaster Countercatcher onto one of the damaged Dracloaks. Now that Serendipity has 200 damage on it,
yeah, that's it. That's all needed. Yeah, that's 4 prizes.
Spreading it over the Dracloak and the Serendipity will mean that he's able to do a 4 prize turn there. You know, what a wipeout.
That is a phenomenal turn. Like, Alexander showing the evidence behind his claim that he is the best Dragapult player in the room. Takes down that game one very convincingly.
Yeah, it certainly is. And I mean, we see the power of the damage spread there, don't we? You know, it can kind of take you a bit by surprise, can't it? I mean, the damage spread is so important in how you manage it, how you manage your opponent's board state. I think the crucial play here was the gust up on that Pheasantipity, forcing Christian to use a Curse Blast, giving yourself a prize and putting yourself only 4 prize cards away from taking the game, knowing that the Pheasantipity is already on 10 damage and you've done that damage spread across the smaller HP Pokemon before. I mean, you know, fair play to Alexander.
Yeah, I mean, but even before that, right, this itchy pollen war at the beginning really slowed things down for both players. Yeah, that's the gust up on the Pheasantipity, and that was absolutely very important. That was really the key turn, like you mentioned. But it was the itchy pollen lock that was able to get him there and then pull off this turn. Very, very clever with the damage spread. You know, 200 onto the active, 60 onto the Dreepy. It did evolve into Dracloak, but then with this other gusting card coming in, the damage spread is enough to just, you know, KO 4 Pokemon in one go, and that was all she wrote.
Yeah, and as we see on this board state now, knocking out that Dracloak, 3 onto that Dracloak on the bench, and 2 on that Dracloak on the bench, and 10 to that Pheasantipity. I mean, what a turn from Alexander. Completely took me by surprise, but you know, that's exactly what this deck does. It kind of just creeps up on you, right? You don't realize managing your own board state, you know, how many damage counters are on board and what's within range of the Phantom Dive with the Curse Blast, with the damage counters as well. It's really awkward to manage.
Yeah, and being completely honest, I think, you know, plays like that and, well, no, let me rephrase. Yeah, plays like that are probably one of the main reasons why Christian likes to play cards like Rare Candy, because it enables him to avoid such awkward turns like that, but just wasn't able to find it on the turn he needed.
I mean, we mentioned it already. The fact that he spread his board with 4 Dreepy and Dracloak.
Oh, hold on, sorry to interject. That's a new upper energy price for Christian. Oh, it's horrendous. And the Pheasantipity price for Alexander too.
Yeah, that's not great, is it? And starting 2 Pokemon you don't necessarily want to see either. You definitely want to be having that Horlucha in hand to pop down for that flying entry ability. So not a great starter. However, Alexander does have 2 Buddy Buddy Poffin in hand.
Maybe the best pair of cards you could ask for going first.
Going first as well. Going first as well. That's
gracious.
The main point in this circumstance. But that Horlucha staying on the field, you know, the fact that he started it is not fantastic. It's 70 HP, so it is within range of a couple of Phantom Dives or Phantom Dive in connection with some other players as well.
I mean, not only that, but of course, if it's on the field, you can't make use of its flying entry ability to put damage on your opponent's stuff to get KOs that way.
That's what I mean.
Double jeopardy.
Yeah. The Horluchas, it started within the Dragapult deck, but then came out, and now it's all of a sudden having a resurgence, considering all of these smaller HP Pokemon that people are evolving from, the Charmanders, the Pidgeys, even the Gimmighouls at this point are all 70 HP. Phantom Dive, if you want to be able to, you know, take out some knockouts with that, you need some extra damage on board, and Horlucha is very efficient in doing so.
Yeah, very, very efficient at that, but won't be doing much of anything when it's stuck there in the active spot.
No, certainly not. Not unless you Professor Turo it.
Oh, yeah, that is true. Alexander played a copy of that.
Let's play one Professor Turo. That would be a pretty good play.
Yeah.
Just going through the first prize check of the turn, but I just want to go through that last game. If Christian was able to find that rare candy on the Dracloak, on the Dreepy, sorry, that would have been the better option. Everything. But it would have changed everything. I think Christian would have put himself in a much better position. You know, we don't know. That's hindsight, of course. But yeah, I mean, Christian just unable to find it. Maybe even. I'm unsure really, but I would have thought Christian would have liked to find that rare candy to evolve into that evolve into the Dragapult. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, either way, you know, that game's in the past. Right now, Alexander has a phenomenal start and is looking to put himself in a great position to carry on that winning streak. Buddy Buddy Poffin 2 is now being played. So what's the decision? Oh, is it going to be a double Duskull line? I actually think I kind of like this, you know.
Yeah, I really like it. This is really aggressive. Knowing that Christian hasn't even had a turn yet and he's already facing 2 Duskull. Sorry, I'm going to hurt myself at that point. 2 Duskull already. The fact that Christian only has Bidoof, don't see much in the hand. See Ultra Ball, of course, for that next turn. Maybe a Dreepy as well in there. But yeah, this will be a pretty scary start. I mean, you know, the fact that Alexander can just pop off with 2 Dusclops, of course, next turn, not really being phased by the item lock, but Alexander will still need to find that Dragapult. I think it's kind of a reserved game, right? It's a reserved game plan for both of these players.
Yeah, it's really going to come down to what Christian draws to turn, because there's Pokemon Search, so you're not like completely out of the game in terms of setup, but the things you have to do to set up are a lot more awkward. Vadu coming down there for Alexander. There's a draw for turn. Oh, is it his own whole Lucha?
Yeah. Oh, I don't see much in hand, you know.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
Yeah. See the Ultra Ball, see the Dreepy, but with those two Duskull on the bench, I think Alexander. Oh well, no, sorry, I'm gonna keep getting ahead of myself. Of course, with the Dreepy, only the Dreepy on field, isn't able to do a Phantom Dive if he's being item locked next turn. But this isn't a great start, regardless, from Christian, right?
Oh, it's literally Ultra Ball for like, the rest of the hand away, just leaving himself with a Dragcloak in hand and then passing. That's horrendous.
Yeah, and he's going to be really relying on that Recon Directive next turn. There are so many options now for Alexander, and even under item lock, I still think he's in the prime driving. Well, he's in the driving seat at this point, isn't he?
I mean, he can just item lock back.
Yeah. He's definitely going to, right? Yeah. I mean, promoting the Bidoof, just going for the item lock. I think all Alexander needs now is an energy card, and there comes the Hilda going for the fire energy and a Dracloak.
Couldn't have asked anything better.
No, you certainly can't. And you know, with that Recon Directive now, he is able to see more cards within the deck. He still needs some pieces. He still needs to find a way to evolve these Duskulls, into the Dusclops if he wants to use the Curse Blast for a maximum effect. I mean, being that Dreepies are 70 HP, he's definitely going to want to be able to use the Dusclops rather than the Duskull, than the Dusclops. And here's the first Recon Directive. What was it?
Blood Moon, Luna, and a Badu.
Okay, fine.
Not great about which way you look at it.
No, not
but
great.
yeah. But there's 2 energy ready to go in hand already. So can attach 1 to the Dracolic to make it ready to go with another attachment, and then just retreating into that Badu and Itchy-Pole. And this is going to be a very big Recon Directive.
Lily's Determination? No, sorry, it's Rare Candy.
It's Rare Candy, and it's a Professor Turo scenario. And he's going to get a Turo to go for it again.
Finds a Buddy Puffin. Pretty much useless at this point. There's a Latias.
My goodness.
What was the other card?
Jamming Tower.
I think it was Jamming Tower, right? Yeah.
Wow.
Both players just binding their time, more so for Alexander's side, of course. Want to be able to use all of those Pokemon at the right time.
Ino dilemma again. Alexander finds an Ino for the Recon Directive.
I wouldn't recommend that Ino at this point. You've got the Recon Directive already up and going. So I think it's just getting to the point where Alexander just needs to, like I said, just bind his time. Wait. Yeah. Keep all of these options available to him.
Hold on a second. No, I was going to say, I mean, Dracloak does have an attack. It does 70 damage. That's not quite enough to KO a Dracloak, but it can KO a Dreepy.
It can KO a Dreepy, yeah.
And I think that's what he's going to do, you know. Oh no, draws even better. Just boss's orders, use Itchy-Pollen, and then that way, you know, it's even more awkward. It's going to be, because now you have much less flexibility. Recon Directive.
Was that a Lily's Determination?
Yes, it was. So a huge find, and now he's right back into this game. Plays out the rest of his hand, and now Christian has a chance to make a comeback here. That was a huge Recon Directive.
He still has a lot to do here, right? He's under item lock. He needs to find these Pokemon without using any items, and that's still a tall order. And when I say Pokemon, he needs to find his Duskull. He needs to find more Dreepy on board. Knowing that there's one in the active, it is susceptible to an easy knockout next turn. And the fact that Alexander does have these Duskull on the bench, you still want to be using item lock to prevent any sort of dust noir. So, you know, does have the Latias on the bench, can retreat into the Bidoof now as well, fortunately enough for him. But it's still tough. It's still tough, I'd say, for Christian.
This means he has a chance. If there wasn't for this, then I think the game would be next to over. With this, at least he has a chance to make a comeback here. So, yeah, free retreat with the Latias. You have an engine to commit as well, so you can put down something. Another Dracloak is great. Or finds another Dreepy, wonderful. This is pretty much as ideal a comeback setup as you could ask for, to be honest.
Yeah, I still think you're forced to put down another Dreepy at this point, because Alexander can still board wipe at this point.
I mean, there's no reason not to, right?
Yeah,
as well.
Of course. An attachment to that Dracloak does have Dragapult in hand. Yep, definitely evolve that. Keeps it out of range of any sort of Phantom Dive next turn. And over to Alexander. I think that's the Ino at hand. I think that was top deck there.
No, but there was one in hand already, wasn't there? So then there's two of them there. Oh wait, no, did he... He took it to hand but didn't play it, which is exactly what the right move to do. So
Professor Turo scenario and a Lily's Determination, I think.
Yes, that was Lily's Determination. That seems like the obvious play here, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah. definitely is. Seeing 8 cards is way better than finding 6.
That also gives your opponent more cards too.
Yeah, of course. It gives your opponents a chance to see more cards as well, which is not something you necessarily want to do, knowing that your opponent has played 2 cards out of their hand already. Being under item lock, you're kind of playing a little bit of a guessing game, right, with your opponent, because you're thinking, are all those 4 cards completely useless to you now if I just do an Itchy Pollen? Alexander just shuffling up, finding those 8 cards. It's unfortunate for him because, you know, he could have really taken advantage of a poor start from Christian, but was just unable to find those Dusclops.
I mean, again, but thanks to Badu, right?
Yeah, thanks to Badu. You know, that's why it's so important in this deck. You know, we know that Dragapult's quite a slow, methodical deck, and it relies so much on that item lock as a disruption element against your opponents to get back into the game.
Yeah, and I think this at this point, this is the right turn to switch over into attacking with the Phantom Dive. Nope, never mind. Alexander disagrees and just says, you know what? I could Phantom Dive here, but Itchy Pollen is stronger right now. I'm going to keep this lock going.
Yeah, I still like the item lock. It prevents any sort of Dust Noir coming on the field this turn. But Christian can still use the Dusclops. You know, he's not out of the woods yet. But I think for Christian, this is going to be the crucial turn. And I've said that multiple times now, I know, but it really is. I mean, he really
decides to go. Yeah. He, like, in terms of, like, you know, the face-off, Christian fires off the Phantom Dive first, actually goes to the boss's orders to bring up that Dragapult to the active. This I like. Yeah,
like I said before, you're still forced to hit into the Dragapult at one point. Going for the Dreepy, keeping your opponent bench locked from any sort of further Pokemon to be put down. That's the play he's going for. 60 damage on the Dreepy. What I will say is that if Alexander's unable to pop off with any sort of Curse Blast to open up that board space, it does put Christian in a position where he can take 2 attacking Pokemon off the board next turn.
Yeah. However, so a couple of things going on here. Draws the up energy. Doesn't need it right now, but it's still a great thing to have in hand. And with Christian deciding to switch over from Itchy Pollen to Phantom Dive, items are now back online for Alexander. So he's going to be able to search for his deck and actually find some of these key pieces he's been missing.
Yeah, I think for Alexander, pop off with a few Curse Blasts, take a few prizes here or there, or maybe even put some damage on that Dragapult, put it within range with a Phantom Dive nonetheless if you pop off with the Dust Noir, and free up that board space with another Dreepy. Because like I said, at the moment, Alexander's put himself... Oh, no, well, he hasn't put himself. He's been put in a position where both of his Pokemon that are his only attacking Pokemon within range of a Phantom Dive. So he really needs to get out of this situation fast.
Yeah, and the supporter of choice for this turn is the Hilda. So going to be grabbing himself either another Dracloak, or if he feels like he really needs to prioritize finding this Dusclops to start using Curse Blast, he'll be searching for that instead. And then you can also go ahead and get a Basic Energy or another Luminous Energy to start preparing your other Dreepy for a future evolution as well.
Yeah. And the Hilda can go for the Dusclops, can go for the Dracloak, like you mentioned, going for that Dusclops.
They're literally debating between the two, but does decide to go for Luminous Energy and the Dusclops, and I think this is correct here.
Yeah, I think it's more important to free up this board space for another Dreepy to put on board. I really do think that is the priority here. But still, even the fact that Christian has another Dusclops on the field, Duskull on the field, sorry, it does mean that he can wipe Alexander's board from all Dreepys, Dracloaks, and Dragapults next turn.
Yeah, and that's not a great feeling.
That's not fantastic. No.
There is another Dreepy in hand for Alexander, so once you go for this Curse Blast, you can free up that bench space and get that other Dreepy down. But I'm fairly sure that, yeah, with some combination of shenanigans, like you're mentioning with the Dusclops, even with a Dragapult and 2 Dreepy, you can still get wiped with all your attackers.
Yeah, I don't even think another Dreepy's enough. Because even for Christian, with the combination of Curse Blast and Hawlucha as well, he can take out all three Pokemon next turn. And this is exactly what Christian wants at this point. And for Alexander, you know, yeah, sure, I can take out that Duskull, but you know, there's still options for Christian.
Oh, but hold on a second. Something that could maybe change the equation a little bit. Well, how do you feel about putting down a Monkey Dorian with getting the Luminous Energy off on that and using Adrenaline Brain to move some of the damage off that way? The Monkey Dorian's in hand, so that is also an option.
Yeah, that is a pretty good way of doing it, but it touches to the Dusclops, actually.
Hold on a second. So Luminous Energy onto the Dusclops, that's fascinating. I mean, Dusclops and Dusnoir do have attacks. They don't do a ton of damage, but it is a single prize attacker that can, you know, maybe combine with something else for a 2-shot. Is that the direction Alexander's going?
It must be. Not going for the Curse Blast and attaching energy will, you know, you would expect that he is thinking of having this as an attacking option for next turn. There's no other reason you would attach to it, right? Because with Curse Blast, you're knocking it out.
Yeah.
So that energy attachment would be completely useless.
And it's not even useful for a retreat because Dustclops has a retreat cost of 2, so it's not even like a preemptive retreat move either.
And plus, you Curse Blast and take it out of the active anyway.
Yeah,
right?
yes.
So here we see the first recon directive from Christian. Just going for that Ino by the looks of it. There's the one card still down. Oh, it's Duskull or Ino.
And
going for the Ino.
yes. I think he was already pretty committed to it. It was in the hand already, right? But of course, what's really nice is that you put that Duskull to the bottom of the deck, you have a Buddy Pop, and you can just get it straight back out.
Yeah, Christian can still take 4 prizes this turn. He can go for the Hawlucha, can knock out that Dreepy with 10 HP remaining, put 1 damage counter wherever else, even on the Bidoof. Oh, no, sorry. He can take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He can take 5 prizes this turn, actually.
He can have a very, very devastating turn.
With Hawlucha, you can take out that Bidoof with 10 HP remaining, as is the Dreepy, and put the 6 damage counters on the Duskull. But you don't want to put yourself in a position where an Ino is going to be detrimental to you.
Yeah, that is a tricky thing. And actually, I think the reason why Alexander is committed attaching to this Dusknoir or this Dusclops is because if Christian can pull off the 5 prize turn, you can't do anything with the Dusknoir because if you pop it, you're going to lose the game.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a good point. Ino into another Dragapult. Would like to see an evolution into another Draclog, into another Dragapult.
Oh, but here's a very good find here. There's the Monkey Dory, the Luminous Energy, so can go ahead and use that to get actually going to go ahead and do a free prize turn, taking out that Dusclops.
Yeah, this is a devastating turn for Alexander. Finding that Monkey Dory and the energy does put Adrenabrain alive now, and with the 3 damage counters moved over to that Dusclops, putting it within range of a Phantom Dive. Now for Alexander, the writing's on the board, I would say. You have no rare candy in the deck. You can't accelerate into a Dragapult. That Duskull is something you definitely don't want to use at this point, putting Christian only within 2 prizes away. And, you still have that onward threat of the Hawlucha on the Bidoof. So there's many different options that Christian has to take the game.
Yeah, back against the wall. But if there's anyone who could pull off a comeback, it would be a current season regional champion, and he's going to make use of every single resource that he can to try and get there. It's going to have to start off a recon directive, finds, it's a Buddy Puffin. Oh, and an Ino, though. That's a really, really strong find.
That's something that you have to prioritize this turn. Now that Christian is so far ahead, using as much disruption as you possibly can to try and slow down your opponent is definitely going to be the way to get back into the game. Ultra Ball here, maybe even another Dreepy. If he's able to find it, having the security that if this Draclog is knocked out, at least I'm still putting myself back in the game. But is it too slow? Doesn't play Rick handy. So you're just banking on the fact that the chance that this Draclog can survive next turn. Yeah, it's a difficult one, isn't it? I mean, I think for Alexander, maybe a counter catcher on that bench Draclog. That the rest of them are bench Pokemon, so it is free retreat, and maybe try and just slow Christian down.
Either that, or if you go ahead and make use of this Curse Blast, you'll put Christian onto 2 prizes left, and then that will mean the Blood Moon Ursaluna only needs 1 energy to attack. That could KO the Dragapult.
Yes, that's also true. That is another option.
But I don't think that's the line we're going for based on the fact that the Curse Blast is used on the active.
Yeah.
So Curse Blast comes in, puts the Dragapult on 220 damage, and then Ino after that. So really we're going to be relying on drawing as little as possible, and Christian missing all the outs. Flip the script found for Alexander. Very important free cards. What does he find?
Can he find that counter catcher?
Well, no, the counter catcher's already in hand, so he's actually choosing not to play it. He wants to deal with this Dragapult now.
Yeah, because he's... Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I saw him, Ino go away.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
He's trying to find his Blood Moon Luna here. He really wants
he must be if he's keeping this Dragapult in the active. He must be.
But I don't think he found the out to it. There's a Night Stretcher.
But even if you use Blood Moon Luna, what are you doing for those next few turns? I'm unsure.
I mean, you can put down a Latias and then retreat and into something else, but you just need to deal with this Dragapult. And right now, Blood Moon Luna is the only way to do it.
Yeah, certainly is.
But I don't think he's just
looking
to it.
Yeah, he's looking at the options he has here. He's thinking, can I get back into this game? Are there any ways here that I can execute a sort of game plan to put me back in a positive space? Yeah,
no.
and he's just scooping it up.
not able to find the outs to play to his minimal odds chance of a comeback. Scoops it up, so Christian Onofrio takes it to game 3, winning a phenomenal game 2. So it's going to be one more game to decide who's going to make it to the Stuttgart Regional Championship Finals.
I mean, what a game Christian played. There were so many unfortunate turns he had, especially those first few turns. I mean, he even had to Professor Tiro's scenario his Dracloak to evolve into another one for another recon directive. But thankfully, he was able to survive. Like I said, Alexander, just unfortunate under the item lock, was unable to find the momentum to be able to take advantage of Christian's poor start. But, if there's any deck that can make a comeback, it is Dragapult, right? We've mentioned it time and time again. And Christian, finding that magic combination. Now that Alexander was bench locked, maybe he was getting too ahead of himself, benching those two Duskull instead of an extra Dreepy, and effectively just put himself out of the game, right? And look at that Monkey Dory. That was the play, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was the key turn there. Able to take a knockout onto the Dusclops, knowing that Dusk Noir was probably the way for Alexander to really heavily come back into this game by combining a KO with that damage counter placement with an INO, but unfortunately just having to evolve the other Duskull into a Dusclops. 5 is a lot less than 13.
It certainly is. It certainly is. Both of our players just shuffling up for our game 3 of our top 4 matchup. Who will be in the final? Cannot wait to find out. This has been a real interesting matchup. A lot of people downplay mirror matches, right? A lot of people find them a little bit tedious, or they're both the same match, they're both the same deck, so they'll both execute the same style. So there's not much interaction in the game. But I mean, I cannot say that's I couldn't be. They couldn't be more wrong when it comes to Dragapult.
Right? I think it's an unfair statement.
It is completely an unfair statement when it comes to Dragapult. I think Christian just tried to put his prize cards on the wrong side of the table there. Could you please put them so I can see them, please?
Oh.
Not great. 3 INO isn't fantastic.
That's a comeback card. Oh, you really don't want to see that. Alexander's prizes, sure, there's a Dreepy and a Dragapult, but that is way, way, way worse.
Yeah, it does play 4, fortunately enough for Christian. Fortunately enough for himself, sorry, he does play 4, but unfortunate start, I would say, for Alexander. That Pheasantipity doesn't feel great to start, especially the fact that it is so susceptible to easy Phantom Dive in combinations with the damage counters spread with either Dustmile or Holucha.
Yeah. Now, at the very start of this game, you were talking, Ben, about how in this matchup, do you really, in the mirror specifically, do you want to put down the Budu when it can become such a liability later on? But
I was completely wrong.
Yeah, but both these players recognizing, yes, it's a liability, but what's even more of a liability, not being able to set up your field, and Budu is the thing that gives you the best chance to make your opponent not be able to set up their field. So it's actually worth prioritizing.
Yeah, I can't believe I was wrong. Who would imagine? Yeah, Buddy Puffin, like you'd already mentioned, eyeing up that Budu coming down onto the field in connection with a Dreepy. Already has Duskull on the field in the active. That's something he won't necessarily mind. Doesn't even have to retreat this turn. Because he is going first, is unable to attack. I mean, the past couple of games I've found, usually you like to go seconds, so you stop your opponent from being able to play supporters to find these important resources like Buddy, Poffin, and Nespel. But what I've been seeing time and time again is that even going first isn't phasing a lot of these players because they just keep starting Buddy, Poffin.
Well, I mean, we joked yesterday about how some people are built different, like, Henry Brand just with the strong starts going first, and we're seeing it again here. Just built different as finds that Boffin del Cuore, actually. That's the Italian one, I believe. And nice. Gets the Dreepy and the Budu down onto the bench. Yeah, plays on that jamming tower, just get out of hand. Energy onto the Duskull so they can retreat. And then a pass over to Alexander. What do you have? Oh, you do have a Buddy Poffin of your own and a Lily's Determination. Wow, what a better start.
Yeah, I like the energy attachment to the Duskull as well, just going back to it, just because it means that Christian isn't forced to put down a Latias EX to be able to retreat from the Duskull into that Budu for next turn. So at least he isn't putting a easy 2 prizes on the board for Alexander to take. And here's a Buddy Poffin coming down for Alexander. Like you mentioned already, there's a first prize check going on, or Lucha is available to him. Just writing down some of his prizes here, as many of our good players do, just to remind themselves throughout the game what's prized, what's not available to me. How can I not waste my resources, basically? you know, if I'm playing a Buddy Poffin and I prize 3 of my Dreepy, you know, maybe not playing it is the best option.
But we know that this prize cards aren't that bad. 1 Dreepy in the prizes, 1 Luminous Energy in the prizes could be annoying actually for attachment flexibility, but you have plenty of energy, plenty of other energy to work with.
You do.
So that's not going to be the end of the world either. So it's just going to be a matter of which 2 basics do you go for. And I mean, as long as you can get this Serendipity out of the active, Dreepy plus Budu does seem like a good way to go.
Yeah, I think when it comes to some of the prizes that are down for both players, I think Christian's definitely got the short straw here. 3 I know, as we've already mentioned, and his lone Dust Noir. So that could come into contention later down the line, especially as we get into those later turns. Buddy Boffin for the Budew and that Dreepy.
Yep.
You're just going to expect a retreat into that Budew to start item locking. Ultra Ball here does have the energy in hand for retreat, but it's whether he prioritizes it for retreat or to put an energy on that Dreepy, making it ready for that Dragapult. But you know, just going for the retreat rather.
You know what? I actually really like the fact that Alexander discarded that Dracloak as one of the choices with the Ultra Ball. That now means that if Alexander draws into his other copy of Night Stretcher, because I believe there's 2 in the deck, right? And 1's prized, or is it 3?
No, there's 2.
The 2. That means that now Night Stretcher also becomes an out to the Drip. So I do like this actually.
Yeah, a lot of people think, you know, the deck is the only accessible part of the field for a lot of our players, but it's actually the discard pile. You know, you see it in Goldengo. I know we're talking about different decks here, but you know, when we talk about Goldengo, sometimes it's better to discard all your energy earlier on, so it activates some of your superior energy retrieval. And like you quite rightly mentioned, putting that Dracloak into the discard table just you know, increases the likelihood of finding it from a Night Stretcher.
So, another Dreepy comes down, which is a very, very good find. That is exactly what Alexander would have wanted. Oh, there's even more items to play as well. There's a Buddy Poffin, there's another Nest Ball. You can set up your board fully here. That is amazing news if you're Alexander.
Yeah, that's a great start. And I don't know if you'll be regretting attaching to that Serendipity. I know it was the safer play, but now drawing into that Nest Ball, he could have found that Latias EX to retreat for free and attach to a Dreepy.
Well, the thing is about that is that you would, if you're going to have a 2-prizer on board, I think you'd rather have the thing that lets you draw 3 cards in the event of a knockout.
That's also another good point. You don't want to put too many susceptible Pokemon on the field for your opponent. That's quite right there, and you don't want to bench lock yourself like you had been in the last turn.
And hold on a second, a very, really small point here, but worth noting. Could have grabbed two basics with a Buddy Poffin, but use the Buddy Poffin to grab the Duskull, and then use the Nest Ball to grab the Dreepy. Doing this is very clever because it means that you get more dead cards out of your hand when you get item locked.
Yes.
So if your hand gets disrupted, you're not going to draw into cards which are useless later.
Yeah, a really good point, and that's you know, that's just sequencing 101 really, isn't it? You know, using as many cards as you possibly can out of your hand. You know that you're setting up. You know that you're not likely to use that Nest Ball or that Buddy Poffin in future turns. So using both will mean, like you said, taking that resource out of the deck. If you're going to INO, if you're going to Lily's Determination later on, you're taking what we would reference as a useless card from the deck, so you're more likely to draw into what you do need.
Lily's Determination, speaking of drawing cards, are going to be 8 cards here drawn for Christian. He is under item lock. Alexander did end the turn by doing that itchy pollen, so this is going to have to be a pretty good draw here. What does Christian find? There's a decent amount of Pokemon. Neo Up Energy is great, but is that not a single Dracloak or an out to one?
I really love the slow draw there from Christian. We're taking one card at a time, just hoping
himself almost.
Hoping for a Dreepy. Dreepy, where art thou?
Yeah, well, I mean, Dreepy is fine, but you really want Dreepy and Dracloak, and I think...
you do. Well, you just want everything, really.
Yeah, but there's no Dracloak, though. It's terrible.
Yeah.
Oof.
It's not great for Christian. Attaching to that Dreepy as well, that's something that I don't necessarily like either. I mean,
it banks it on there, but now there's a risk, right? If Alexander is able to put together the pieces to KO this Dreepy somehow, I mean, it would require a lot, especially on the item lock. You'd have to make it to a Dusclops somehow, and maybe knowing that is what makes it okay. Yeah,
he'll be unable to take any prizes this turn, Alexander, unless he takes out the Budew with the Dusclops, which I don't imagine, or even the Duskull, sorry, with a Dusclops. So I don't imagine that will be something he's likely to do. At least for Christian, knowing that Dreepy is pretty safe this turn. Alexander doesn't play any rare candy, doesn't play any sort of acceleration in his deck, so isn't going to be able to put into play a Dust Noir or a Dragapult this turn, but I think Alexander's feeling pretty safe at this point. His board state's pretty good in this position.
Yeah, and he was able to play a Hilda that turn as well. Did grab his own Neo Upper Energy. Had the Dusclops already ready to go in hand. Committing that Neo Upper Energy now. Building up to that Dusknoir. Yeah, don't need to blow it up yet. Just go for the HP Pollen one more time. You saw how Christian had a really, really slow turn, and it's going to be another one again.
Yeah. Was that a Dragapult in hand as well?
Yeah, there are a couple.
No, sorry, a Dracloak, sorry. But the Hilda does come down, so he's able to find the Dracloak anyways, right?
Yeah, I don't recall. I don't think I saw him draw one per turn unless I missaw something.
It might have been a Dreepy, I'm not sure.
Either way, we'll be able to at least guaranteed, as you said, find one Dracloak off of this Hilda, and now it's just the choice of what energy to grab. Does go for the Luminous energy. This means that, no matter what basic energy you draw later, if you commit this Luminous to the other Dreepy, you can still power up the Phantom Dive, or you could even commit it to a Monkey Dory.
Christian really needs to find another Dreepy this next turn. Alexander does have that Dracloak. He does have the Neo Upper Energy already attached to it. With the Dusclops on the field, he can evolve into a Dusknoir to take 2 easy prize cards next turn. So
it's a very scary position to be in, isn't it?
He needs to find another Dreepy this turn. Needs to.
Yeah. Dracloak comes down. Recon Directive. 2 very important cards. That's 2 cards you can't play.
No. No, has he played supported this turn?
Wait,
he played the Hilda. Of course he did.
We just played a Hilda.
Of course he did. Yeah. So with that Recon Directive, unable to find a Dreepy, I think for Christian it's just hope that Alexander doesn't have the final pieces to take to board wipe all of these Dreepy and Dracloak off the field. And when I say all, there's only 2 of them, Freya.
That is such a big whiff. And if Alexander can put the pieces together, granted he is under item lock, so it's going to make it a little bit trickier, but he's really not a million miles away. Recon Directive can maybe get the last little bit.
There's another Recon Directive there off that Recon Directive.
That's brilliant. So Recon Directive number 2. What does he find here? He is so close to clenching his jaws on this game, but there's going to be a very important 2 cards. There's a Fire Energy and an Iono. Okay.
Yes.
I think I like playing your Iono here. You know that your opponent isn't going to be able to do much if you can set up this board wipe turn, so maybe playing the Iono here is worth it.
You can pop off the Dusclops. You can pop it off on this Dracloak here. So using this Dusclops will mean that you'll put 50 damage on this Dracloak and reduce the amount of prizes that Christian has, enacting that counter catcher. So you can counter catcher up this Dreepy here.
No, you're item locked.
Oh, no, sorry, yes, you are. Ignore everything that I've just said.
Well, but it's still a relevant point, right? Because you're still reducing the amount of cards that Christian would draw.
You still need the boss's orders.
Yeah. But also it means that you would reduce the amount of cards that are drawn by 1 card there. So I think it's still worth going for. You can go ahead. Oh, you can mention Monkey Dory as well. Move damage across that way. That's gonna get you pretty close to there. Yeah,
there's 2 damage counters already on the field on that Badu, and with Iono, you're limiting Christian's hands to 5 cards now, thanks to that Curse Blast. Unfortunately, not to find Gust or any sort of gusting option. Sorry, unable to find the boss's orders and can't play counter catcher like you quite rightly said.
And okay, no out to a Dragapult.
None still. Still.
But then if that's the case, I think I'm happy, just going KO or you with using the Monkey Dory Adrenaline Brain just to make sure that Budu's out of the way, and then just itch Pollen again.
Yeah,
I think I like that.
Mean, he would have liked to have seen a Dragapult from the prizes, of course, because that's just going to be his game plan at this point. He's desperate to find it, isn't he? That Neo Upper Energy on the Dracloak from last turn. He was readying himself up to evolve and take some prizes with that Phantom Dive. Christian promoting that Dracloak with that 10 damage. I really do like this play, not putting the 10 damage on that Dreepy on board.
Christian does a big flick for the draw for turn, but it ends up not helping. It's a Psychic Energy. Can't even use it to power the attack. Oh, there's another Dracloak.
There's another Dracloak. There's another
Fire
Dracloak.
Energy. Oh, that is actually an awkward decision. Yeah, he has to hit Dracloak here. He needs to draw another card. So what do you find here? 1, 2...
Energy, Ultra Ball. No, that's not what Christian wants to see. This is the one thing he didn't want to happen. He needs to find the energy and the Dragapult to start putting damage down on board. Maybe even a Dusclops as well. He is leaving himself in a real bad state next turn if he just has to pass here. He has to maybe even retreat into that Duskull and just take it on the chin at this point.
Either that, or maybe you just use the Dracloak's attack and KO the Budu just to get yourself out of this item lock.
You can. I mean, at this point, you know that Alexander's taking 2 prizes if you leave this board state as it is. He's even debating putting down that Ursaluna as just another Pokemon to put on field. A retreat into that Blood Moon Ursaluna, at least you're keeping your board state safe when it comes to the Duskull and the Dragapult, but this isn't great. And a Jet Headbutt for a knockout on the Badu is the option that Christian's taken. This isn't great, though.
No, it really isn't. And yeah, so he was going to go for the KO after all. Dragon Headbutt.
Dragon Headbutt.
Jet Headbutt is on the Dragapult, but
yes.
But yeah, putting the Blood Moon Saluna down just so you have some kind of follow-up attacker, you know that your board is likely getting devastated. Even more so knowing that now the item lock is off. Itchy Pollen is not online anymore, so Alexander can go ahead and play a bunch of these item cards, dig through the deck with Recon Directive, has access to Flip Scripts as well. So Christian could be in for a very, very nasty turn here.
Yeah.
As in, on the receiving end of a very nasty turn.
Certainly is. What Alexander will want to do here, knowing that he's not under item lock anymore, Christian is ahead on prizes. So using that counter catcher, like I said in the previous turn, quite incorrectly, he can gust up this Dracloak here. And now that there's these 6 damage counters on this active Dracloak, you are able to spread damage on this one here and take the knockout with Phantom Dive with the 200 damage on this one, and you will completely wipe Christian's board state of any attacking option next turn.
That is exactly where you want to be if your name is Alexander Rutowicz, and that's going to be what he's aiming for. But, I mean, he's not far off, right? There's Ultra Ball.
I think Cannon Catcher is in hand. I did see maybe even the boss as well.
That would work, yeah.
Yeah, boss's order is in hand. Cannon Catcher is in hand. So all of these options are live at the moment. Does have Ultra Ball in hand as well.
So he's got it all then.
He does have everything, but what I think for Alexander, he's just playing it safe here. You know, if Christian is able to find a way out of this, these are the things that Alexander will be keeping in mind. If he's able to play an Ino, how do I make myself less susceptible to an Ino play and disruption, etc.? So I think for Alexander, it's just play out the hand, see what happens. You know, take all my options for my ideal turn now, but
and build up board resilience by putting down another Dracloak.
Exactly. And I think with this Recon Directive, the main engine of the deck, you want as many in play as possible as you're approaching those final turns to see more of your deck.
Dragapult comes out now from that Ultra Ball, discarding Latias and Jamming Tower. Won't be needing those right now, just wants to get as access to as many Recon Directive as possible. Is possibly debating going for the Badoo instead of the Dragapult with the Ultra Ball?
Yeah, unsure on this one. I mean, if you have a way to wipe... I mean, maybe we're too aggressive, Freya. But I mean, I would like to board wipe here. I'm unsure. But going for the Ultra Ball for the Badoo, this maybe, actually it's just thinning.
Okay.
He's just thinning the deck at this point. Like I said, he's mitigating the chance of Christian playing an INO and becoming a little bit, out of favor. Because a simple counter catcher for Christian and a Badoo, it can change things a bit if Christian's able to find some of the resources that he needs to get back into the game. So Alexander's just playing it safe at this point.
You know how some players will lose against someone and they'll say the words, "Oh, they always have it." This is why they always have it.
Yeah. I completely agree.
You're discarding all the cards that don't win you the game and just leaving you with the cards that do win you the game. And that is what Alexander is demonstrating beautifully here. And if his hand gets disrupted, I think we're going to see it pay off.
Yeah, he has the ideal strategy in hand, but, he's playing it safe. He's not taking it all. He's taking everything in its stride, right? He's not slamming down the cards.
He's not rushing for the win.
He's not rushing, exactly.
He's building up the resilience.
He's playing it methodically, and that's exactly what you've got to do with this Dragapult deck, right? You have to kind of agree with the board state that's in front of you and just build it up slowly.
Yeah, and actually debating where to attach a Psych Genji. It might be going in the Pheasantipity, interestingly enough. Look, or to the active. I
mean, I don't mind Pheasantipity only because it'll mean that you're able to retreat next turn.
Yeah, but actually
from the Pheasantipity.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
Probably something I'm missing here, but either way, still a ridiculously strong turn. Phantom Dive is going to KO all of the Dreepy and Dracloak on the field, and the rest of the residual damage is going to go somewhere?
Yeah, still some extra damage that you're able to spread. 1 damage counter on that Blood Moon Ursaluna, EX, and 3 on that Dusclops. So yeah, leaving Christian in a pretty awkward situation. I really do like that 1 damage counter on that Blood Moon Ursaluna. At least it puts it within a range of a Phantom Dive in connection with a Curse Blast from the Dusclops as well.
That's exactly where I would have done it.
Yeah.
And that would be a KO on the Duskull and the... Oh, even if Christian evolves the Duskull into a Dusclops, that will still win the game, that combination, because 60 plus... the math will work out perfectly, basically. Yeah. But now Christian has to try and think his way back into this game. What can you do here? Your back is against the wall. You know you're in such a tough spot. An INO has to happen. I think a counter catcher has to happen. Maybe in combination with a Curse Blast could be great, because that way, it kind of like Alexander did to Christian, you reduce the amount of cards that is drawn.
Yeah, I would agree with that one, but it does put Alexander only 2 prize cards away from taking game, and with a Blood Moon Ursaluna on the field, there is the option for Alexander to take game next turn. So yeah, it's an awkward position to be in. I mean, like like I said, you could go for the Bidoof play and just try and disrupt here. You know, Ino is your best option here, but you will need still that Latias EX to retreat that Duskull. You don't really want to use it, I don't think, at this point. But, you know, at the same token, like you said, even if you do use it, you can reduce the amount of cards in hand for Alexander to 2. So, yeah, it's whatever he prioritizes at this point. You know, maybe look at the discard, maybe look at the resources that Alexander has left to get back into the game, and that might alter your decision.
If you're Christian here, you can't play to not lose. We talked about this idea before, and we'll talk about it again. You have to play to win. You have to play in such a way where, sure, if my opponent has the out, I will lose, but like, if I don't do this, and if I try to do a safe route, I'll just lose more slowly, and this riskier chance is what enables me to maybe have a chance to win and come back here. Yeah,
exactly. 4 off the top here for Christian. What does he find? He sees the Recon Directive, I believe, has the Dragapult, but is unable to evolve this turn due to the fact that those GP were only put down this turn, and there's the Ichipon. Alexander, what have you got for us? Have you got that Dusclops and that all-important... No, just going for the Lily's determination. Now that items are turned off as well, it does reduce the amount of, reduce the chances of Alexander finding what he needs. And this is exactly what he was debating, right? With that energy attachment. Do you attach to that Pheasantipity just to mitigate yourself from the disruption play next turn, and opted to go for the Dragapult instead?
Yeah, and I mean, it might come back to bite him, but very important to note here, if Alexander is able to find a Dusclops and a way to retreat this Pheasantipity, he will be able to take the game by taking 3 prizes from a combination of the Dreepy, the Duskull, and the Bidoof. So does he find it off the Lily's determination?
Dusclops is there.
There's Dusclops is there. The energy's there. He can retreat. He can go for the Curse Blast. He can take a 3 prize turn. He can take the game. He can take the match. He can book his place into the Stuttgart Regional Finals.
Yeah, and there's the fist bump confirming, and Alexander is your finalist at the Stuttgart Regional Championships. He will be playing Nikolai in the final, and what a final we have ahead of us.